But so many people are so scared to see anything from a different point of view. I mean, let's do something that's really controversial. The Trump trial.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, the country is so divided. People that hate Trump will always vote against him, regardless. They won't look at the reasoning behind anything. They won't look at evidence. They'll say Trump is an evil person. Trump is bad. He's mean. He's hateful. He's they don't look at what good he's done.
No.
And people assume that I'm a Trump loyalist, but as you know, I didn't even want to vote for him for the first time he ran.
Yeah.
It's no secret that I tend to piss off people on social media by observing things. I've never gone onto somebody's page and said, "Hey, you're wrong. That's not at all what your belief system says or what you should be doing." But people still feel the need to come onto my page and tell me how wrong I am.
That's just how people are. They've got to be, in control of things.
I mean, have you ever gone onto somebody's page just to tell them how wrong they are?
No. But I've gone on to somebody's page to defend someone who's being told they're wrong.
To defend?
Yeah, to defend someone else. Like somebody went on their page to tell them they were wrong. Your buddy, Craig, who does the African hunts every once in a while.
Yeah.
And he was on one of those African hunts, and somebody came on there telling him how bad of a person he is because he went on the hunts.
Yeah.
And I defended him, explaining that these hunts, they don't go out there and just go willy-nilly,
Willy-nilly. Is that a professional term?
Yes. It's for a good reason. The money used that they pay for the hunts goes to the communities in Africa.
Communities, being tribes.
Yeah, the tribes, the villages. And then on top of that, the meat also goes to the villages, the tribes, the people of Africa where they're hunting at. And then they're not allowed to take any trophies back except, I believe, the hide or even just the horns.
Yeah.
It depends on what they're hunting. I'm not even
sure if you can take the horns.
I think it depends on what they're hunting. Right now, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, because you can't take any kind of ivory or anything like that.
Yeah. They have very strict rules and regulations. They're not allowed to just shoot whatever animal they come across. It has to be a certain one that is either sick or past the prime of breeding.
Yeah.
Sorry. I went down the rabbit hole.
No, it's all right. I mean, but it kind of proves my point. Of course, mine is more about speaking on theology, but yeah exactly. People that feel impassioned, they'll go and tell how horrible the person is because even though it's out of ignorance, because what they're promoting, like in your case, is they're promoting without them knowing it.
Yeah,
they're promoting the starvation of a certain breed, the overpopulation of a certain breed, which causes diseases. They'd rather somebody die, an animal die sickly and in a disastrous situation than somebody shooting it.
Yeah.
Because they don't know, they don't understand. And I can have a certain level of empathy for them because I understand their meaning well.
Yeah.
They're just wrong. And I rarely tell people they're wrong, especially in theological debates or conversations, because in the end, nobody knows. But I found, like the other day, all I was stating was, and I don't necessarily state this is a fact. According to the Bible, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. I don't necessarily do that unless I'm stating like, hey, you're not supposed to be going onto somebody's page and telling them how they were right. If you consider yourself a biblical Christian, you don't go onto somebody's page and tell them you're wrong and start chastising them in front of people.
Yeah.
It's specifically, Paul gave an example of what you were to do if you disagreed with somebody. Yeah. But they don't do that. And when it comes to people defending, what I found is the religious are very rare to defend somebody that's being scorned by a religious person.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen. If I ever get somebody to defend me, of course, I always get somebody to message me privately and say how much they appreciate what I said. But to publicly defend me, it's usually the person who is not a churchgoer.
Yeah.
A person that is not, even if they are a churchgoer, they're not that religious zealot. Well, I stated the other day that let me read it because I'm going to forget. I said self-awareness is rare in religious circles, just as it was during Jesus's time when most Jews rejected him while thinking they were following God's will and written word. How are we different today? And boy, I offended somebody because I'm hating on the religious. Yeah. Because you believe in God, I'm hating on you. And she said, no, that's not right. People don't do that. When it's an observation. I personally observed this.
Yeah, you can't tell somebody that they didn't experience something personally.
Yeah, and they don't. And it actually, I told her, you proved my point. People that are so religious tend to not be self-aware.
Yeah.
They don't realize that they're pushing so much hate and discontent and chastising somebody. But the only thing I get is every once in a while, a very well-meaning friend is telling me how negative I am. But the point is that sometimes you have to be negative. That's life.
I mean, you have to be negative sometimes to get a point across.
Yeah, I mean,
because not everybody's going to see, they're not looking at things and seeing the negative side of it. They are purposely seeing only the positive.
Yeah, if you're a religious person, you're going to see it as a negative. Oh, he's attacking us. But if you're a person like us that actually sees that people are like that, you're like, man, somebody sees it too.
Yeah.
It's positive. Negative is a perception.
Yeah.
An observation is neither negative nor positive. It is always the perception. And usually the person that sees it as negative is the person that it's talking about.
Yeah.
The person that sees it positive is the person that that has witnessed it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or in other things, it's negative if they're the victim of. It's positive if they're the victor, such as we'll go something horrific, the Holocaust.
Yeah.
It's a very traumatic thing.
Oh, yeah.
But if you happen to be a Nazi and you were on that side and you're on the side of a believer of Hitler, do you see it as a negative thing?
No, they didn't.
No, they thought they were doing right.
They thought, they had been indoctrinated to see it as a good thing. Get rid of, the Jews that were causing all these issues for everyone.
These Jews are taking all of our jobs. They're spending all of our money. They're doing all this other stuff. Yeah, we need to go back and bring it back to us. They actually believed that they were doing what God wanted them to do.
Yeah. I mean, there were there were a few that went against that, even though they had originally been with that party. But they had ended up going against it. What was his name? Schindler.
Yeah.
He was one of them.
Exactly.
He protected his workers.
Beyond that, I mean, I don't want to go into the weeds.
Me and history.
Yeah. We'll do another example. The Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that's horrible, right?
Yeah.
Nope. Not the people that at that time, the people that were killing the witches, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They thought they were doing God's job.
Yeah, because witches are evil. They dance naked with the devil.
Yeah. Every religious person I know hears the word witch and they think evil.
They think devil worshiper.
Yeah, even though that's not at all the way it was ever meant to be. But I'm not going to go in there. I can open up a can of worms and piss everybody off if I want to, but I don't. I actually am pretty restrained. And one of these days I'm not going to be so restrained. I'm trying to be polite with people by just simply showing observations, letting them come up with their own solutions. But so many people are so scared to see anything from a different point of view. I mean, let's do something that's really controversial. The Trump trial.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, the country is so divided. People that hate Trump will always vote against him, regardless. They won't look at the reasoning behind anything. They won't look at evidence. They'll say Trump is an evil person. Trump is bad. He's mean. He's hateful. He's they don't look at what good he's done.
No.
And people assume that I'm a Trump loyalist, but as you know, I didn't even want to vote for him for the first time he ran.
Yeah.
I was a registered, I think I registered independent at that time.
You did.
And before that, I was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Under Obama, I was a Democrat. And then when Obama showed his face and I saw what he was really doing, not what he was saying, because he speaks very pretty.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who speak pretty that
they're the best really politicians, best mass murderers, the best serial killers. They were very pretty, not mass murderers, but serial killers. They're very pretty speakers.
Yeah.
And so it taught me, as a police officer, it taught me, don't just listen to pretty words. Watch their actions. Sometimes I won't even say sometimes. For a politician to get anywhere, he has to speak pretty.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Or he has to reach the right audience with the right wordings. And Trump's done that. And people assume he's an idiot. I'm like, you can't be an Ivy League graduate and be an idiot. You can't turn a $1 million loan from your father. Yes, I know we don't all have that chance, that option of having a $1 million loan from our fathers. I get that. Trump was born and raised wealthy. So I assume he's going to act like a wealthy man.
Yeah.
People, for some reason, can't see that. He's going to be a little pretentious at times. He's going to be over the top.
Yeah.
But he's done a lot of good things. But he took a $1 million loan and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Yeah.
That does not take the correct bloodline to make it happen.
Yeah, you can get all the help you want from your family and, as it comes to loans, but unless you do something with it, that money's just not going to turn into billions of dollars on its own. People
that don't have money don't understand.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I got, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, I got into a wreck. A pizza delivery guy hit me in my vehicle, and I ended up having a severed spine. Fast forward 4 years, I get a settlement. I'm worth $500,000. I didn't have $50. I was a very poor person. I was still living on somebody's couch. But when I got that $500,000, I did everything I thought was right. I paid off all my bills. I didn't owe anything. And I married my friends with benefits, which was a very bad idea.
That is not me.
It wasn't you. But within 2 years, I was dirt poor. I had to sell my house that I bought for $120,000, $120,000, which at that time was quite a bit in a town the size of, it's only like 3,500 people in that town. So it was quite a bit for that house. And I turned around and sold it for $45,000.
Yeah.
I was an idiot. I did a lot of things that I thought were right that were wrong. Just because you have money doesn't mean you get to keep it.
Yeah. You have to actually do something to keep it or to make it grow.
To make it grow. Because even if you keep it, let's say I took all that $500,000 and I put it in a savings account that grows at optimistic 2% a year.
Yeah.
What's the inflation rate? Way more than 2%.
Yeah.
So I would be losing money every year. You see what I'm saying? When people talk about, well, put it in the bank and live off the interest. No, you can do that, but you're not making money. You're spending more money faster than you really think you are.
Yeah.
People like to judge what they don't understand, and they like to judge things that are not on their quote unquote side.
Yeah. And they like to judge it loudly in your face.
Yeah. And of course, I'm not talking about all people. I'm not talking about all religious people. I have a great
political people.
Or political people. I have a great respect for people of faith. There are things I agree with and things I disagree with. I disagree with more than I agree with. I get that. But you don't ever hear me coming up to them and saying, hey, if people really knew my belief system, if I was just like them, I'd be hitting everybody's page and saying, you're an idiot. You're wrong.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works at all. People that say, oh, well, science and spirituality shouldn't make sense. They shouldn't go together. Yes, they should. Science actually proves spirituality. But I don't feel the need to tell people that they're wrong. I'm not going to change the world by going to one person and saying, your beliefs are wrong. Have you ever changed because somebody came up to you and said you're wrong?
No.
Does it kind of make you tense up?
It makes you defensive.
Yeah. There's this old story I remember from, I think I was in kindergarten, maybe probably first grade, second grade, something like that. Anyway, there's this story. It was based on a story from Japan, but of course they turned it American. The wind and the sun were watching this little boy with this jacket walking down the road. And the wind says, I bet you I can get him to take his jacket off. And the sun said, okay, bet. So the wind blew as hard as he could. He blowing it hard, making it freezing. The wind was just blowing, almost like a tornado. The cyclone was just right in front of this kid's face. And he just kept on gripping that jacket as hard as he could. Well, finally, the wind just gave up because the kid would not let go of that jacket. And then it was the sun's turn. All the sun did was just sit there and shine. Did nothing. In fact, he made it where it was comfortable for the boy. The boy didn't even have to fight or argue or anything, but the boy took his jacket off and started carrying his jacket because he was comfortable.
Yep.
You don't change people by telling them they're wrong. You don't change people by scaring them. You have conversations with people. Figure out what they believe.
You can have theological discussions without arguing.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that we do not agree on our religious beliefs at all. But we have very good discussions. I have an atheist friend that doesn't even believe in God. Thinks that when we die, we're just there and then not. And that's the way it is. But we have respect for each other. When I've read the Bible and I've studied the Bible, when I read what Jesus did, I also read what Jesus didn't do.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't go to the non-believers that believed in a different God and say, hey, you're wrong. You're going to go to hell because you're wrong. Now, I've said this to the religious, and they've said, yeah, but he said the only way to the Father is through him. I was like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And besides, he was talking to believers. He wasn't talking to the other people. He didn't go to somebody else and say, hey, I heard I know Muslims weren't a thing back then, but he didn't go to a Muslim or a pagan or anything and say, hey, you're wrong. This is the only way. Now I could go into a deep theological discussion and actually speak about the Aramaic idioms that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody even understands. I have actually said that word to people and they're like, what is that? Like, you do know Jesus was an Aramaic. Yeah. but we're reading Hebrew and Greek.
No.
That's not Aramaic. I mean, I understand that's what the people that wrote it in understood, but the translations are different. Go to somebody born and raised in Spain. Speak Mexican Spanish.
Yeah.
Go to Mexico or anywhere in America and speak to a Mexican in Spanish from Spain.
Yeah.
See if they understand you. They don't, because the dialect is greatly different.
Yeah, and there are different meanings to different words.
Yeah.
The way they say.
And the way you say things.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, I'm like, hey, I had to walk clear back to the back 40 to get that mustard you told me to get at the grocery store. Well, I use this example from to a couple of friends of mine from Jersey. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I will translate it directly. 40 means 40 acres. Do you understand me now? Well, yeah, you had to walk clear to the back 40 acres of your property to get that mustard. I was like, in Walmart?
Yeah.
No, 40 has nothing to do with acres. That's just where it came from. It's an idiom that we use down here south, country folk use. It just said we had to walk way back there.
Yeah.
So
hell of a ways.
Yeah, what would that change? And I'm saying this because I know I interviewed an Aramaic Christian minister, and she explained the idioms of the Aramaic culture. Her family is from there. She is a first-generation American who speaks fluent Aramaic. And she explained the culture and what things actually meant. It would turn Christian, westernized Christian, that's what she calls it, westernized Christianity on its head.
Yeah.
Because people, and I've said this to people that are like, no, that's not what it means. I'm like, you would rather believe something. I mean, we've all played the telephone game. Let's say you have 100 people playing the telephone game. You would rather believe that person 6 telephones down before you'd believe that person who heard directly from the source?
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. But people hold on to their religious beliefs so much that they get offended. And offended, it's funny. So many people say, I'm not offended. I'm like, but you're upset. That's what offended means. It means to be upset or hurt or angry at what somebody says or does. If you're not, then why did you get on my page to tell me that I'm wrong?
Yeah.
We don't have to agree with each other. That's the problem. That's the problem with politics right now. People believe you have to agree with things. People believe that there are sides. And that's not the way it should work at all. It should, like when I tell people, they're like, how come your first marriage you lasted 2 years, your second marriage you only lasted 5 years, but this one you've been together for 10 years and you're not even close to even thinking about any kind of divorce or separation? Like, because I learned that when you argue, you're not arguing to be right. You're to find a solution. You're to find the real answer. You're not trying to say that my way is the right way or your way is the right way. It's not that. And that's what's wrong with society. Everybody wants to find why they're right and why you're wrong. And if they start saying at all that you might be right, they just quit the conversation or start calling you personal attacks. That's a lot. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
People love to do personal attacks. And I've even talked to people that me and them agreed. And I talked about how personal attacks is wrong. And they're like, no, that's just the way you fight nowadays. Like, how do you win anything by calling the other person an idiot? I think most people are idiots, but I don't go around telling them that. If they don't know they're an idiot by now, me saying it's not going to help.
Yeah.
No, we stay polite.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to get anything done is be stay polite.
And admit when you're wrong. if you realize that you're wrong, that means you're trying to become a better person. We should always try. A true Christian should always be looking to become a better person, to advance, to find enlightenment. That's really the core of a lot of belief systems. Jesus was about enlightenment. Getting closer to the Father, that's enlightenment.
Yeah.
But people don't see that. They think closer to the Father is trying to become more holy. Well, if the kingdom of heaven is inside you, and we were made by God, through God, from God, that means we're part of God,
mm-hmm.
then we're already pretty daggum close to God. But if we don't understand it, that's what it's about. I mean, I've told you the explanation of a clay pot. You're making a clay pot. You use sand, you use clay, you get some water, you put it on a pottery wheel, make your little pot, put it in the kiln, heat it up. Can you take that sand out?
No.
Does it matter if you know the sand is there?
No.
That's God.
Yeah.
You don't have to know the sand is there. But once you realize the sand is there, it can open your mind. Once you realize God is inside you and realize that everything you do is part of God. Everything you touch is part of God. That you've got God within you. But it's not just you. It's the other person. You have God within you. So if I'm hurting you, even if I don't like you, even if I think you're an idiot or a monster, you're still part of God. So when I'm loving you, I'm loving on God. And that's what we should be doing. Loving God.
Yeah.
Stay in peace. Stay in love. Hey guys, I want to personally thank everyone for liking and sharing my videos. If you want to continue to see my content, all you got to do is press that subscribe button and I'll notify you as soon as a new video comes out. I don't get paid for any of this. So if you want to buy some of my merch, like my shirts, like Jesus is a Badass or my Don't Be a Dick shirt, you can easily go to my merch store, which is at sogtv.org, which I will have it in the description at every video. So push that. Go buy yourself a shirt. I appreciate it. Have a blessed day, and I will see you at the next episode. Thank you.